Hello, it is October 7th, and I want to do this Piney News update. We have several things we have to update you on. The first thing that I want to talk about is, obviously, Hurricane Matthew. All right? It's knocked out power to a lot of people, so Hurricane Matthew is really causing a lot of problems. Okay, I want to show you the radar here of the latest radar from Hurricane Matthew. And we're going to just loop it, and you'll see here that the worst of it, it's been taking a track that's been pretty much along the coast, but fortunately, the worst of it, the main eye wall has stayed just offshore. That doesn't mean there hasn't been damage, it doesn't mean there hasn't been flooding, but the brunt so far has spared Florida. While they've gotten hit and they've got some damage, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. However, this storm is still on the move, and it's not over yet. And of course, it's left a lot of power outages in its wake. But also, the power system there, though, I think will come back. It's a lot more resilient than ours is, and I'm amazed at how well it held up compared to had a storm like this or even Sandy. When Sandy hit us. So the storm, the eye, right here, you can see some really intense. Right here, that north to northeast part of that eye wall, the whole back of the system is pretty much dry. That's usually what happens when they start getting close to land. But you can see that eye wall right there. That's very intense, and that's heading right for this area right here in South Carolina. And I think this area may very well wind up seeing the brunt of this storm, worse than even Florida, especially these barrier islands here. Major storm surge. The storm surge obviously is the worst part. And if you're, near the water, hopefully you're not near the water. Hopefully you got away from the water, because that's not where you want to be. These barrier islands are going to flood, and you don't want to be trapped there because the bridges are probably closed, and it's a dangerous situation. So this area right here is going to be under the gun this morning into, tonight into Saturday morning for this still pretty severe hurricane. It's still a scary hurricane. It may not be a Category 4 anymore, but it's still a substantial storm, as you can see, especially in this eye wall right here. That is probably going to affect this area here. Florida was fortunate because of the way the coast is shaped, and because the worst of it stayed offshore. The wind didn't even reach 130 miles an hour because those winds stayed pretty much, the 100-plus winds for the most part stayed offshore. However, I don't think that's going to be the case in South Carolina. I think that this area here is going to see quite a bit of wind damage. Even if the winds are 110 miles an hour, it's still going to be bad. So let's look at the Hurricane Matthew forecast track. You can see it has it doing that loop. Fortunately, what's going to happen is they're going to have it pretty much dissipate. So I don't think it's going to hit Florida again as anything substantial. Maybe a little more rain. But I think it's going to dissipate because it's going to get too much dry air into it. And hopefully, and you got to remember, it churned up the waters. So the waters were warm, but it's taken a lot of the energy away from the ocean now. So I don't think it can generate and it can maintain its strength once it turns back to where it was. So you can see hurricane warnings up for most of South Carolina, and tropical storm warnings up for North Carolina, and hurricane warnings for part of North Carolina as well. And you can see maximum sustained wind 110 miles an hour. Movement is north at 12. Now let's take a look at what the models do with this. It's obvious that they've all agreed now on this track, so let's just take a look at the models again. Okay, so let's just briefly look at the models here. GFS, pretty much we'll just take a look at this and see that it takes that loop. There it goes, but it dissipates. See, once it moves off the coast, it dissipates. We may get some moisture actually from that sucked up close to our area with the cold front on Saturday night into Sunday. So we'll see what happens with that. Then we have beautiful weather building in. So nice high pressure building in. So we have nice weather, nice fall-like weather finally, nice pattern finally emerging. And we don't have to deal with any blocking ridges or anything like that. That's the GFS, and we'll take a look at the Euro. Same thing pretty much. They all agree on this loop-the-loop track here, but fortunately, once it goes out to sea, it's going to weaken. You can see even the euro weakens it once it starts going out to sea. So it will not have too much of an impact once it moves out to sea, even if it does wind up going back over Florida or even the Bahamas probably. And that over there is Nicole. Nicole actually looks like it's going to strengthen a little bit, and it tries to make a little move at us, but then it gets pushed away, fortunately. Okay, so you see, according to the satellite image, the radar, and all that stuff. So the tropical storm force wind field extends up to 185 miles from the center, and hurricane force winds extend up to 60 miles from the center. Now, fortunately, the worst of it has remained offshore, but there's been flooding in St. Augustine, and Cape Canaveral actually hit a wind gust to 107 miles an hour. Over 1 million, all right, so we have over 1 million without power right now from Hurricane Matthew. It's going to be, there's been a lot of power outages, but so far the worst case scenario hasn't happened yet because the eye wall has remained offshore. So the track that this storm is taking is really crazy. I'm so glad it's not coming here, but I feel so sorry and pray for the people that this storm is affecting. It's not over yet. The media thinks it's over. You put on CNN and the news, they're talking about politics again. But this storm is far. The worst could be yet to come. Okay, the next story that I have for you actually is a crime story. I usually don't read crime stories. But this story is actually pretty ridiculous. Now, I've seen this in Westbury. You have these guys that are probably here illegally. They're riding around on bikes, and they like to sneak up on people. Sometimes they'll swerve your way. I don't know, what are they doing? I had a feeling, well, maybe they're trying to mug you or rob you or steal something from you. Well, it turns out I was right, because this crime here at Hicksville, which used to be a very nice area but is in decline due to the problems with the illegal aliens. A Hicksville man was arrested and accused of being a bicycling bandit. And I'm going to read this article to you. A Hicksville man is the bicycling bandit who snatched handbags from two women walking on Jerusalem Avenue earlier this week. Nassau County Police said on Thursday. Jose Roberto Zavala, 19, of Jerusalem Avenue, faces robbery charges in the two-wheeled thefts on Monday and Tuesday. While riding his bicycle, Zavala took the handbags of two women, both 63, who were walking along Jerusalem Avenue in Hicksville. He was arrested at 4 p.m. Wednesday at the Hicksville Long Island Railroad Station and charged with 2 counts of third-degree robbery. In addition, he faces assault with the intent to cause serious injury with a weapon, fourth-degree criminal possession of a weapon with the intent to use it, and first-degree robbery causing serious injury, all stemming from a September 18th assault of a man on North Broadway in Hicksville. In that robbery, Zavala took the victim's backpack and wallet. At his arraignment, Zavala's bail was set at $25,000 cash or $50,000 bond. At about 3:40 p.m. Tuesday, a woman was walking near West Cherry Street when she was approached from behind by a man on a bike who forcibly grabbed her pocketbook from her shoulder, police said in an earlier news release. At about 7 p.m. Monday, another woman was walking near West Marie Street when her purse was snatched from her wrist by a man riding a bicycle. The suspect pedaled away on Jerusalem Avenue each time. Neither woman was injured. This happened in broad daylight. This is what the crime they bring. And I have good reason to fear these men. They bring a lot of crime, they bring a lot of problems, and I have to say that the media has been the media is completely out of control in their bashing of Donald Trump, and this is part of the reason why I'm making this video, because I put it on. They're talking about something he said in 2005. Seriously, who gives a shit? All right, it happened in 2005, and what he said has no bearing on his job as being president of the United States. All right. Whereas Hillary Clinton hid emails. She put emails. She put our nation's security at risk. She's tied in with all these, with Wall Street, with the elite. No, the way the media just keeps bashing Trump, because the media is the elite are terrified of Trump, and they are trying everything possible. They're trying to dig up anything they can about him so they can keep this rigged system in place. And it is going to be a rigged, there goes the fire alarm again, it is going to be a rigged election, and it is an uphill battle to get Trump in. But if people go out and vote, I think Trump will win, but we also have to worry because there's also talk of the Democrats and the Wall Street elites bringing a lot of immigrants here so they can vote for Clinton, and that's another thing going on. It's an outrage, especially when you got to live with this shit. All right, you got to live with these guys on the bikes swerve toward you, and you got to really watch out because they're trying to rob you. All right. And then you've got this mess that they live behind in Westbury. They hang out in this spot by the piazza. It's a constant issue. Every day they're there, and every day there's more garbage. Liquor bottles, lotto scratch-offs, all that stuff is there. It's just an outrage. Take a look at this. Yeah, so you see the mess that they left behind. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. This is a serious problem with these illegals. And I have no problem if somebody comes here illegally. But we have a real serious problem in this country right now where the laws, now I hate to talk politics with this hurricane, here I am doing it, but you're hearing a one-sided story from the media against Trump. Because the media, especially CNN, MSNBC, a lot of these media and your local news, most of them, are influenced and corrupted by Wall Street money, by the elite, by the banks, by the richest people that want to keep the illegals here, that want to keep this rigged system in place. The rich people want to keep violating our laws, and Trump wants to put a stop to that. And so they're hell-bent on trying to smear Trump's image. And you cannot be influenced by the crap that they spewed out. The reality is Hillary Clinton is a criminal. And I don't know if you saw the vice presidential debate, but Tim Kaine is a real asshole. He talked over Pence the whole time. Kaine really turned out to be one arrogant son of a bitch. He looks like just the kind of people I run into in Belmore. Just arrogant, just snobby, just the whole 9 yards. So, I wanted to give you my thoughts on that. I mean, Pence easily won the debate. Pence would think about it, all right? The vice president's important. They're a heartbeat away from being the president. So imagine if somebody like Kaine is the vice president. If anything would have happened with Clinton, and we know how bad our health is, he would be there. And he poured out so many insults. People like to say Trump pours out a lot of insults. Kaine was out there pouring one insult after another, and just what a disaster that would be. And as for yours truly, having to live in a town that has illegals in it, if Clinton wins, I have to find a way out of this town somehow. This town, it's a shame because there are a lot of efforts. You have the space, you have these small businesses, and it seems like sometimes it's a little busier, in town. Sometimes there's people out. But, people are reluctant to come here because of the illegals, and especially reluctant to live here, they buy a residence here because of the illegals. They're a drain on this community. They bring nothing but problems. And our mayor, I think it's time for a new mayor. This mayor, he is not being aggressive enough about getting rid of them. Read between the lines of what he says, It's ridiculous. I have to deal with these illegals, and if Clinton wins, there are going to be more of them pouring in here, and they're not going to be going to the rich areas, like I said in my other video. They're not going to be going to the white neighborhoods. No, they're going to be going here, going to all the neighborhoods that are troubled already. We're trying to rise up. We're trying to make Westbury great again, just like make America great again, and these illegals are standing in the way. They need to go. And it has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with being Hispanic. It has to do with the fact they broke the law, plain and simple. When they live 20, 30 to a home, they loiter, they throw trash on their streets, they're riding bikes on the sidewalk, trying to steal people's stuff, and driving those annoying beat-up tricked outs that you got to listen to all the time, those beat-up Hondas that go like, here's a clip. Yeah, you see that. You see what goes on there. That's what you have to listen to constantly. It's ridiculous. And somebody like me, like I explained to you in my other video on a program, I can't seem to get an apartment in a decent neighborhood because of the high rents and all that other stuff. Well, you know, if Hillary wins, I know this town is done. This town is going to have a real uphill battle, and I'm going to have to find a way out somehow. So that's it for this Piney News update. And lastly, let's send out prayers and thoughts to the people in Florida, and people in Haiti, and all the people who've been affected by this terrible hurricane. It's not over yet. Take it easy.